You guys are just stopping me, particularly from going in and using it.
Yeah.
You guys are denying me service because of my assistive devices.
That is correct.
Part 5 of a multi-part series featuring Guilford County, North Carolina. This video includes the entire audio from the first day of the District Court bench trial, which took place on August 23, 2021. Just a quick reminder, North Carolina General Statute 7A-276.1 states as follows: court orders prohibiting publication or broadcast of reports of open court proceedings or reports of public records banned. No court shall make or issue any rule or order banning, prohibiting, or restricting the publication or broadcast of any report concerning any of the following: any evidence, testimony, argument, ruling, verdict, decision, judgment, or other matter occurring in open court in any hearing, trial, or other proceeding, civil or criminal, and no court shall issue any rule or order sealing, prohibiting, restricting the publication or broadcast of the contents of any public record as defined by any statute of this state, which is required to be open to public inspection under any valid statute, regulation, or rule of common law. If any rule or order is made or issued by any court in violation of the provisions of this statute, it shall be null and void and of no effect, and no person shall be punished for contempt for the violation of any such void rule or order.
All right. So, I'm getting to that. Can you turn that volume down, Madam Clerk? I'm getting some feedback. There we go. Thank you. All right. So first and foremost, let's all make sure our microphones are on, and by doing so, we're able to see if the red button is lit up in front of you. And you can use on the witness stand as well. All right. So today, Monday, August 23rd, 2021. It's 2 o'clock, actually about 2:02 p.m. and we are here for State of North Carolina versus Michael Paul Nelson in 20 CR 67643, count 1, second-degree trespass, count 2, resisting a public officer. And Mr. Nelson is represented by Mr. Holt, Graham Holt, I should say. Good afternoon, Mr. Holt.
Good morning, Judge.
All right.
Good afternoon, excuse me.
Okay. And Mr. DA, you are present, and I see, are these witnesses that will be testifying that are sitting here with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Officer Boyce with Randolph County Sheriff's Department, Captain Daugherty with Courthouse Security, and Leslie Barbee with the Health Department.
Okay, thank you. All right, and does Mr. Nelson have any witnesses that he will be calling to testify, Mr. Holt?
He does not. There's a possibility Mr. Nelson will testify, but we're not sure.
Okay. And I see Mr. Nelson is wearing a ball cap. Is there a reason for that? Because obviously we do not allow ball caps in the courtroom.
Yes, Judge, I'm glad you brought that up. It was my intention to bring that up first. And
Okay.
Mr. Nelson has sustained injuries to his eyes, and they are extremely sensitive to light.
Okay.
That's why he has shades on as well.
Okay.
And the ball cap helps him tremendously to keep the overhead lights from getting into his eyes.
Okay.
So we would ask for permission for him to keep the ball cap on.
Okay. All right. All right. Based on that, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. And then let me go over, and I don't want anyone to feel singled out by this, so I want to make certain we are all on the same page. I know that it was brought to my attention that Mr. Nelson made a request for various devices to be brought into the courtroom. Is that correct?
That's
Yeah?
correct.
Okay. And that our Chief District Court Judge, Judge Teresa Vincent, signed a permit for entry to the courthouse with covered device. And it shows it was filed stamped August 20th of 2021, whereby it allows Mr. Nelson to bring in his iPhone. Does he have that with him today?
No, Judge. He actually chose not to exercise the permit and hasn't brought, I don't think any of the things listed, right?
No, yeah, it's I sent them a refusal for costs because it's a rights and not a permit.
Right.
Recommended.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Your Honor, he
you.
had some objections to the permit and he decided just not to bring in any of the things that it permits.
Okay,
So it's kind of a non-issue at this point.
okay. Well, for the record, I'm going to go ahead and repeat what was listed in this order. And it states, an iPhone, an HS70 Bluetooth headset, Aftershocks Bluetooth headset, if I'm saying this correctly, a Sunu band obstacle detector, and backup batteries and cables for the devices.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
he does have the Sunu band obstacle detector on,
Okay,
and it doesn't record or anything.
okay, thank you. All right, and so Mr. Nelson does not have his iPhone or the HS70 Bluetooth headset or the Aftershocks Bluetooth headset, is that correct?
That's correct, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Essentially, I refuse or reject the permit because I'm insisting on my rights and not permitting.
Right.
so let me say, Mr. Nelson, I'm having a hard time hearing you, sir. There's that microphone. Would you mind, Mr. Holt, if you would slide the microphone over to Mr. Nelson so I can hear what he's saying,
Well,
sir?
Judge, I think he was.
Just speaking to you?
Yeah, and it was
Oh.
it was loud enough that it seemed like, I wasn't sure at first, but I'm pretty sure you were just talking to me, right? He doesn't know how far away you are, Judge.
Okay.
The
So
judge
that was
is
not
pretty
meant
close.
for me then, Mr. Nelson, is
Right.
that correct, sir?
It's up to Mr. Holt if he wants to
Yeah.
relay it, but I was trying to speak to him.
The
Okay.
judge is, I'd say about 15 feet in front of us,
Okay.
maybe a little less, just so you know. Thank you, Your Honor, for your consideration.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make certain that, again, I didn't want, Mr. Nelson, I didn't want you to feel singled out by this, but I know you made the request for the devices. I will say to anyone who is present in the courtroom, and that includes Mr. DA, Mr. Holt, any of the witnesses, if you have any type of device that can record, I'm asking you now to pull it out, make certain you have your devices off, because we are actually recording this ourselves. We will have an audio tape for any party who wishes to have access to that. We will certainly provide it for you, but just make certain that any device that you do have has been turned off. I see several of y'all doing that now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's painful to do that, Judge, but I did it.
It is difficult, isn't it, for us to remove ourselves from our devices. However, that is what we require. All right, that being said, anything we need to address with respect to the devices and what I've just stated? No?
Not from the defense.
Okay,
Not
thank
from
you.
the state, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, and it's been brought to my attention from both Mr. DA and Mr. Holt, that Mr. Holt, you have not viewed videos that were taken that day that are in the state's possession. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct. Apparently, the state has videos captured by Officer Boyce. I've not seen those.
Okay. And so you would like to have time to review those videos, is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
All right, and are y'all going to use Mr. DA's laptop to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
In the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
So I can step off the bench?
Yes, ma'am.
And what we will do is I'll step off, y'all just come get me in chambers and let me know when you're ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Understood.
All right, thank you.
The case you brought is good. You can use it in the one I brought. Records first time clients ever communicate actually use.
That's where we talking about some federal shit in there.
Yep. So, whoever needs to hear it.
He's coming out now.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How long is it?
18 minutes. He's standing outside. So.
Wow.
Can you hear Mike?
Can you tell us the name of the gentleman that, alright, grabbed my property? Can you tell me the name?
I'm not going to, but you feel free to ask me.
Oh, I did. I asked him to refuse to identify himself after violating my property.
Okay. I've asked you to stop recording.
Okay.
Stop recording.
Here we go.
So I need to turn the lights off.
This gentleman assaulted me, grabbed my property, got my threshold.
Okay. We'll take care of that later.
How do I file a complaint or formal report? Okay. Are you the supervisor? Okay. Can you identify it for me? Because I need a name to go with the complaint. Somebody read me the gentleman's name?
Turn the recording lights off.
I use these as assistant
I
device.
understand the assistive devices, but if you are recording, if you don't turn your devices off, your recording device, not your system.
These are assistant devices, okay?
If you don't turn the
Do
recording
you have,
device off,
is there any coordinator in this list?
you
We
need to
have
leave.
an ADA coordinator not in this building, but you have been told to turn it on.
Okay, so
You need to leave.
This is
If you are not going to stop recording, you need to leave the building. Okay, I'll ask you to leave.
Well, there was a crime committed, and I need to identify the person that violated
If you
that.
don't leave the building,
You're gonna be arrested for second trespassing right now.
okay.
So, are you gonna leave? Yes, because now they're asking you to leave, and you're not leaving the county building.
So second degree trespass.
Okay, are you gonna leave?
I'm trying to clarify what's going on. So second degree trespass is if you're on the property of another, and you're without permission or use grass, or use what we do. Is that right? Do I understand that right? Well, I just want to understand what you're threatening. Like,
I'm not threatening you. Are you gonna leave, sir?
well, I'm trying to clarify.
Are you gonna leave, yes or no?
Absolutely, yes, I will absolutely.
Let's go.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Because now I'm looking for guns on you if you don't.
Wait a minute, so you're already going to use violence against me? I'm trying to clarify. Like, taking away my freedom is absolutely violence.
Sir, are you gonna leave right now or not?
Yes, I'm trying to clarify.
Let's go.
What do you mean by second degree trespass?
If you have 5 seconds, I'm gonna take turn on the 10 on your back.
A property of another, that means what are you doing? Who are you? Stop, who are you? Stop, who are you? Stop, who are you? Stop. Who are you? I don't know who you are, stop, this is assault, battery. Stop, help, somebody help me, stop, ow, you're gonna be, stop, why are you doing this? Down on the ground, what are you doing? Down on the ground, what are you doing? Roll over now, who are you? Who are you? I don't
Boyce. You police officer from North State. Now roll over. Why couldn't you say that? Why are you hurting me, man? Why are you hurting me? Boyce, North State, is that what you said? You say Boyce? Roll over to your side. You say Boyce? Roll over to your side. Roll over to your side. Did you say Boyce? With North State? Roll over to your side. You're gonna hurt me, man. Sir, I got all kinds of injuries. Now you need to step up. Please stop. Let's go. Please stop. Let's go, sir. Please stop. Sir, let's go. Please stop. You're already about 2 charges in. Let's go. Please stop. Sir, you can get up on your own, or I can carry you over. Let's go. I'm pretty sure you hurt me. You injured me. Please stop. Roll over. Is there a disability coordinator, please? Can somebody get a disability coordinator? Okay. Now playing the game. Can somebody get a disability wheelchair here? They got a wheelchair? Yeah. Let me get a wheelchair. Can we get a disability coordinator, please? Somebody help! This man's attacking me! Somebody help me!
Thanks, dude.
Do you have a disability coordinator? Somebody? Anybody? Please help! Sorry, sir. I'm gonna roll you over to your side. Please help me! Please help! Help! Help me! Help me! Ah! Sir. Ow! Ow! Please stop! Ow! Please help! Ow! Sir. Please somebody get this disability. Disability coordinator. Get in the chair. Somebody help me. Ow! Please stop! I've got full injuries. Please stop! Ah! 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 Please help! Somebody! Help me! Can we get the disability coordinator, please? Ah! Ah! Ow! Ow! So I gave him the chair. Ow! Somebody help!
Grab his arm, I'll get his leg.
Help me!
Slam up into the chair.
Alright. Somebody help!
1, 2, 3, go.
Ah! Ow! Ow! Help! Somebody in the chair. Help! I can't breathe. Put it down my neck. Help! Help me! Ow! Ow!
Okay, sorry.
Somebody help!
You need to
Somebody
sit
help!
on the chair.
Help me!
Okay.
Help me, please!
Take the bag off.
Somebody help!
Take the bag off.
Here.
Then we'll go get the big wheelchair.
Please! Somebody help me! Watch this wheelchair. Somebody help! Ow! 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 Please stop! Stop! Please stop! Please stop! Please stop hitting me! Please stop! Please! Somebody get me a disability coordinator! Help! I'm being attacked! Please help! 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 Help me! Somebody please help me! Somebody help!
Roll over, sir.
Help! Ow! 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 Stop! Please stop! Please stop! Stop, sir. Please help! Ow! Please help! Ow! You're hurting me! You're hurting me! Why are you doing this? Please help me! Somebody help! Ow! Help! Please help! Please help! Ow! Ow! Anybody? Anybody hear me? Please help me! These men are hurting me! Please! Please help! Ow! Ow! Stop! Please help me. Somebody help. Please. Somebody help me. Help. I'm being attacked. Somebody help. Please don't turn off my cameras. Help me. Help. Ah. I think it's gonna help me cry me a second. Help me! Can you get a disability coordinator, please? Do you have one with your company, Boyce? Disability coordinator. Roll over. Please help me. Please stop me. My assistant supervisor. Help. Somebody help. Somebody help, please. Help me. You can hear me? You're not helping. Why? He's there attacking me. Do you have a supervisor? Boyce, please get a supervisor here. Boyce, do you hear me?
I can hear you. And I'm the supervisor.
Please get me a supervisor.
Mr. Sir, you're not being called.
Help.
You can hear? Roll over to your
Please
side.
help me.
One way or another, you can go to jail today.
Please. I'm being attacked. Somebody help, please. Okay. You have a disability coordinator. Anybody?
Alright.
Leslie.
Alright, sir. You're gonna go in the wheelchair. You can't walk on your own power.
Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me.
Sit up, sir.
Please don't hurt me anymore. Please stop.
Sir.
Please stop. Please stop hurting me. Stop. Ow. 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 Ah. Why? Why are you hurting me? Like, why? Why are you doing this? Ow! Ow! Stop! I've got the injuries. Stop! Let's go with Daugherty. Somebody help. Need to go to coordinator. Help! Help! Somebody help me! Help me! If you can see this, please record it! Help! I'm being attacked by people I don't know! Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help! Somebody help! Help me! Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help! Somebody help! Help! Thank you for attacking me! Now you're kidnapping me! Help! Help! Somebody help! Please help! Anybody!
Cap,
Help!
he's gotta lock these doors. He's gotta lock these doors.
Help me!
This shit's still recorded.
Help! Hello! Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help me!
He's still recording. I can't turn that thing
I'm
on.
being attacked! Help me! Help me! Stop kidnapping me! Help!
Got him.
Help! Help me! Help! Somebody help! Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help! Somebody help me!
For your case, isn't it? For your case, isn't it?
You good?
Yeah, you still
Somebody
watching that?
help! Hello, anybody? Help! I'm being kidnapped!
I got it. Yep.
We got the health department video camera. It's not audio, but
I've seen that.
all right.
Thanks for showing her that.
Yeah, can you go get her?
Yeah. Why not? That thing's great. It should have been sneaking up by.
And that's actually in that pamphlet from the health department. To the eye, says to announce your presence, don't sneak.
I saw that.
In the village. Health department offices in containment with the TBI.
Yeah. The prosecutor made copies of that KJ roll. Yeah.
Nobody was thinking.
Right. Yeah. All right, let me read through this case one more time. We're ready when you are.
I think,
Okay.
Corporal went back there to grab her.
All right.
Okay.
Remain seated from the order. Don't go back to session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, is there anything we need to address before we begin?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
No, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. DA, you can call your first witness.
Yes, ma'am. Just quickly before, Mr. Graham, has your client plead to second degree trespass and RDO?
Not guilty to both. Stand up. Please not guilty, Judge.
Okay.
State's first witness is going to be Leslie Barbee.
All right, Ms. Barbee, if you will come around to the stand, Mr. Sheriff will direct you once you arrive at the stand on how to be sworn.
Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand and face the clerk.
Do you swear that the evidence that you shall give to the court in this case not being heard shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Ms. Barbee, I will direct you, just as I will anyone who chooses to testify or is called to testify today. The microphone that is in front of you, I know it's right in front of your face. If you will, just make certain that you do speak, strike that. Just make sure you do speak loud and clear and directly into the microphone so that we can hear you. Okay. But before you begin, there is something else I need to address. Is there an issue as far as why Mr. Nelson's not wearing a mask?
Yes, Judge. He has a doctor's note regarding a medical condition and his ability to breathe through a mask. He's given it, I've represented him for a while, and in other court contexts, he's tried to do it.
He's tried to wear a mask?
Yeah, he's given it an honest go, and it's been really difficult for him. I've witnessed it with my own eyes.
Do you have a copy of the doctor's note?
Do you have that, Mike?
Yeah, it may
He has well, I could hand it to the judge and ask him to get it back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. There's multiple copies too. So keep that one. From your approach?
Yes, if you'll show that first to Mr. DA, and then if you'll. Is this a copy for the file?
It is, Judge.
Okay.
He didn't realize he had multiple copies.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please place that in the court file? Okay, thank you. All right. Now that that's resolved, Mr. DA, you can begin.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Ms. Barbee.
Good afternoon.
And Your Honor, does she need to spell her name since it's being recorded?
If you would like for it, I mean, that's fine.
All right. Just spell your name out for the purposes of the record.
Leslie, Leslie, Barbee, Barbee.
And where are you currently employed?
The Guilford County Health Department.
What's your capacity with the Guilford County Health Department?
I have several, but I am the building administrator and I am the deputy registrar for vital records at the health department.
How long have you been employed as the building administrator?
10 years.
And if you could just explain what that job requires you to do or what you do in that capacity as the building administrator.
In that capacity, I handle everything associated with the building as far as work orders, any kind of issues that come up with the building for safety issues, fire drills, anything that involves the building.
Okay. And were you employed in that capacity on February 4th, 2020?
Yes.
And if you could just explain, as you understand it, what the building's policy is on recording devices.
It is our policy not to have any recorded devices at all. We actually have signage for no cell phones, but that people tend to do that as well. But we have no recording of any kind in the building.
Okay. And are the signs the only notice? Do you have any idea?
As far as I know, yes, that's the only signage indicating that.
And what's your understanding for that policy, or why that policy is in place?
For several reasons. The obvious reason is because of the nature of the business, that we have clients coming in for testing for STDs, or we have teenage clinic that their anonymity is important in that area. They may not want other people to know they're there, and so that's one big reason.
And was the policy against recording devices in place on February 4th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had it been in place before that date?
Yes, sir.
Was it in place for everyone that entered that building for services?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any exceptions to that you're aware of or that you know of?
None that I know of, other than security. We do have a couple of security cameras in the building, but other than that, no.
Did you come into contact on February 4th, 2020 with an individual who later came to be known as Michael Paul Nelson?
Yes, sir.
And just describe to the court how you came into contact with Mr. Nelson.
He was in the lobby, and I guess security had already approached him about turning off his recording devices, and he asked to speak to the building manager or whomever. I'm not exactly how he worded it, but I was then
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
I was then called to come out and speak to him. And
why were you called to come out?
As the building administrator.
Okay. And when you came into contact with Mr. Nelson, where was he?
He was standing in the lobby right outside of the pharmacy.
Did you approach Mr. Nelson?
I did.
What happened after you approached him?
Well, I just went directly to him. I already knew the situation. This was my third encounter with Mr. Nelson. So I already knew what was going on. And I just immediately told him, you know, you've been told multiple times. I asked him to turn off his recording devices, and he would not do that. He would not comply with that.
Okay. And why did you believe he had a recording device?
We already knew he was recording because we could pull it up on the internet and see him recording.
And were you aware of that before you came into contact with him?
Yes.
What did he have with him? Do you remember?
I mean, it's been a little while, but all I remember was he had a backpack, a cane with what appeared to be a phone on the end of it.
And you testified just a minute ago that you had interacted with Mr. Nelson before.
Yes.
How many times before?
Twice before.
In the health department?
In the health department.
Do you remember what happened on those occasions?
The first time was very brief. He was asked about a few services, didn't stay very long and left. The second time was pretty much the same situation. He came in recording. He was asked to leave, asked to stop recording. There was a confrontation, but he eventually did leave the building. He never stopped recording, but he did leave the building.
Was the confrontation with you?
No, that was with security.
Okay. How do you know he was recording in that instance?
Same way, we had already pulled it up on the computer and could see him recording.
And so going back to the third time that you had an interaction with him, February 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ask him why he was there? Do you recall?
No, I don't believe I did.
Okay. And to your knowledge, was he there for a medical appointment?
No, he has never been a patient of ours.
And what did you say to him when you approached him that day?
When I approached him, I simply told him that he has been, he'd been told multiple times that he could not be in the building recording, that he had to turn off the recorded devices.
What happened after you told him that?
It's like I said, it's been a little while, but he did not comply. I don't remember if security stepped in at that point. I don't remember any other dialogue with us.
Okay. After you told him that, did he put anything away?
No.
Did he leave?
No.
And do you remember who from security responded at that point?
I know that Captain Daugherty was there. I also know that Calvin Robertson was there. He's a security guard that is retired. But, and then I know Boyce came in later.
In your capacity as the building manager, have you ever had to make accommodations for people with disabilities before?
We do have, I personally have not had to, but we do have, we do make accommodations. We have for hearing impaired, for blind, for paralyzed. We've had to do some different things, but usually it is not something I have to do.
Okay.
Clinical staff handles it.
But to your knowledge, those kinds of accommodations have been made before?
Yes.
Are you aware of any office policy or protocol to not make those accommodations?
No.
And again, if you could just tell the court why you were asking Mr. Nelson to either leave or cut off his devices.
Again, because we have clients that come in for STDs, and it's a violation for them, for their privacy. And we also have teenage clients that may be coming in that do not, and this was being streamed live for everyone to see, so that, if someone was there for an STD or family planning or whatever, even a teenager, and we have a teen clinic, they would have been seen in the health department, along with any other medical information that we have that may be around that may violate somebody's HIPAA. May have their information, their personal information that could have been seen.
At any point, did you ask him to leave or to cut his, what you believe to be a recording device off because of his disability?
No, sir.
At any point, did you ask him to leave or cut his recording equipment off because of his race?
No, sir.
Because of his sex?
No, sir.
Any other reason than because that's what you That's what you understood the policy and the protocol to be?
Yes, that's it.
And what happened after Officer Boyce got there?
He asked him to stop recording or to leave the building. He was refusing to do either. And every time he was asked to leave, he just was combative and kept repeating the question and was not complying with anything that anyone asked him to do. At the point the boys put the handcuffs on him, he immediately flopped to the floor and started wailing and stiffened his body up so that they couldn't get the handcuffs on him. He was being difficult for them to handle. I then stepped out to call the health director and just let her know what was going on. When I came back, they were getting him up in a wheelchair to take him out.
And is that, was that the extent of your involvement with this event?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those are my questions for Ms. Barbee.
Thank you, Mr. DA. Mr. Holt, do you have any cross-examination?
I do, thank you, Judge. Hello, Ms. Barbee.
Hi.
You said clinical staff usually handles accommodation for the disabled at the health department, is that right?
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And did you call in, and I'm referring to the date in question, February 4th, 2020. Did you call in clinical staff to determine what my client, Mr. Nelson, needed?
I did not, because he was not complying with the request to cut off the recording device. Had he cut off his recording device, I would have been glad to help him with whatever he needed. Okay. But he refused to cut off his recording device.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of his recording device, you said he was live streaming, right?
Is that yes?
Yes.
I'm saying yes or no, just
I'm
because
sorry. Yes.
it's a recording and we need to be able to have responses. Thank you.
And he was live streaming on February 4th?
Yes.
And were you watching a live stream while you were interacting with Mr. Nelson?
I was watching before I stepped out, before I was called out there.
Mm-hmm. You were watching it online?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
yes.
Mr. Nelson was interacting with whom?
He had came into the building and was recording. If I remember correctly, he came into the building, went into the restroom. He then stepped to the water fountain. And at this whole time, he is recording, so we could see it. He filled up a water bottle at the water fountain, and then he sat down in the front lobby.
Okay.
I think there was some interaction between the security guard that was there first. And again, we were all watching that while it was happening. And after that, after the confrontation between the security officer that was there, then I was called out.
Okay. Did you consider taking it? Now, Mr. Nelson explained to you that he uses assistive devices, correct?
Yes,
And, but you wanted him to not record anything.
yes,
Did you, and you knew that Mr. Nelson cannot see, right? He's blind,
I know that he is impaired, yes.
visually impaired, you know
Yes,
that.
yes.
But the deal was that you communicated to Mr. Nelson that it's either stop using your assisted devices or leave, right?
Stop recording or leave, yes.
Okay. Did you consider having him interact or receive advice from the clinical staff who handles this kind of thing?
He was not there for any services. He had no appointment. You must have an appointment to be in the clinical department or WIC department or dental department. He was not there for any services.
Does the health department not provide any services to people other than those that have appointments?
We have walk-in clinics at some points, but usually it's in the evening. There are certain times that are walk-in clinics, but all of our clinics are through appointment only.
Right, but it's a public facility, right?
It is.
Do people ever walk in there to make appointments?
Yes,
Do people ever walk in there to get condoms?
yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Nelson was there for one of those purposes, wasn't he?
Nope, not to my knowledge. I mean, he never asked for, to make, on a previous time he was there, he asked about those services, but when he was there, he was not asking for any services.
Right. Do you remember that he wanted directions to another, he had been recommended to go somewhere via the health department on a prior occasion?
On a prior occasion, yes.
And he was back to talk about that?
He never mentioned that.
He didn't mention that to you?
No.
Okay. Did you ask him why he was there?
No, my immediate response when I came out was to ask him to stop recording. We could have had a conversation after that. But he did not ask for anything, any services or information.
If he had indicated to you that he was not recording and you believed him, he could have stayed?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions?
Any redirect, Mr. DA?
No, just a couple questions. You said you accessed the live stream before you went out to meet him?
Yes.
How did you access that?
On a computer at work. It is on, I think he had a YouTube channel.
And when you interacted or made contact with him, asked him to cut his devices off, did he ever make a request for you for any services for the health department that day?
No.
Did he ever tell you why he was there? Do you recall?
No, not that I recall.
Those are my questions.
All right. Any recross?
Yes, one very briefly. He did ask you to identify the man who grabbed his phone, correct?
Yes, I believe he did.
And did you identify that man?
I did not.
Did you know who it was?
Yes.
Okay. Who was it?
I believe it was Calvin Robertson.
A security guard?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further redirect?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're free to step down.
Thank you.
Ms. Barbee, were you subpoenaed to be present today?
No.
No? No. Okay, thank you. Anyone object to Ms. Barbee leaving the courtroom if she so chooses?
No objection.
All right,
No,
you're
Your
free to leave, Ms. Barbee. All right, thank you. Mr. DA?
State's next witness is going to be Captain Daugherty with the courthouse security.
Captain, if you will come around, please. Mr. Sheriff will direct you.
Do you swear that the evidence that you shall give to the court in this case now being heard shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good afternoon, Captain Daugherty.
Hello,
Could you please introduce yourself to the court?
my name is Vincent Daugherty.
And where are you currently employed?
I work for Guilford County in the security department.
How long have you worked for Guilford County Security?
7 years.
And have you previously been employed in a similar line of work or in other security capacities?
No, this was my first time actually working in security.
Okay, what'd you do before that?
I was in the Army,
How long were you in the Army?
24 years.
Did you retire?
Yes, I did.
And you're employed with Guilford County Security on February 4th, 2020?
That's correct.
What was your position at that point?
I am the captain of security for the High Point County facilities.
And if you could just quickly describe what your responsibilities are in that role, please.
Day-to-day operations, I cover we have 3 buildings in High Point that the county security is responsible for: the courthouse, the health department, and the social services building. So I run and maintain daily operations, the parking booth. I do the fee collecting for that, make all the corrections when needed for the x-ray operators. We also cover, or I also cover, the officers at the health department and social services, as well as physical security, ground security.
And were you working on February 4th, 2020?
Yes, it was.
And did you respond to an incident over at the health department with Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
And just explain why you were called over there, what happened when you arrived.
I received a radio call that there was an individual that was recording in the health department. And so when I responded and arrived on scene, there was the individual identified as Mr. Nelson. He was in the lobby of the health department.
Did you make contact with Mr. Nelson?
Initially, no. When I walked in and seen his recording, he was interacting with actually Officer Roberson. And I went back because my director had called me, so I talked to my director. Then I went back in. Miss Barbee at that time came out to talk to him. And then that's when I interacted with him as the party to try to get him to stop recording, or he would have to leave the building.
Okay. Had you come into contact with Mr. Nelson before?
One time before.
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
I had one other interaction with Mr. Nelson. He had attempted to come into the courthouse a couple of months before that, and that was my only interaction with him. just those 2 times.
Okay. And do you recall that time attempting to come into the courthouse? Was he allowed entry or was he turned away?
He was turned away at the door.
Do you remember why?
Because of the recording devices. At that time, he had a GoPro that was on it was strapped to his chest. So, and then that's when he explained that, yeah, he has assistive devices for his disability. I said, okay. So I went up to try to get some.
No, let me. The GoPro and the other devices you just mentioned, was that the incident prior to this one?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did you see when you saw him on February 4th, 2020? Do you remember what equipment you saw that day?
February, he had his backpack, he had his cell phone on a selfie, I guess you would call it a selfie stick. And it was I think that was it. I don't recall anything else.
Okay. And did you approach Mr. Nelson?
I did.
What happened when you approached Mr. Nelson?
I just approached and made the same request that you turn off your recording device or you would have to leave the building.
How did you know or why did you believe it was a recording device?
Because I was made aware of it that it was being live streamed.
Okay. And what happened when you gave him that ultimatum?
The same thing. He refused to comply with the request.
Do you recall about how many times you asked him to cut off his equipment or leave?
It was at least 2.
And when you say he refused to comply, what do you mean by that?
He just did not. He just didn't do it. He didn't turn anything off or leave.
Did he respond?
No. I mean, he was talking, but it wasn't a response of any explanation.
Okay. How would you describe his attitude and his demeanor at that point?
His attitude and his demeanor was, he was calm. He wasn't being loud or disruptive. He just wasn't complying with what he was asked to do.
And are you aware of the policy that prohibits or restricts cell phones or recording devices in the health department?
I am.
And on the day that you had previously had an interaction with Mr. Nelson, do you remember where that was?
The previous interaction?
Yeah.
Was at the courthouse.
Okay. Is a similar policy in effect in the courthouse?
Yes.
You're aware that Mr. Nelson's visually impaired, right?
I am.
So he can't see the signs, right?
I would assume not, no.
Okay. On one of those 2 occasions, or on the previous occasion, had you explained the policy to him? Do you remember?
Yes, because I believe what I said was that there were no recording devices or electronic devices allowed in the courthouse per the judge's order.
And this date on February 4th, 2020, do you recall explaining to him why you were asking him to leave or cut his recording devices off?
I don't think that I did. I don't remember. I don't believe that I did.
Okay. And were you present when he was placed under arrest?
I was.
What happened when he was placed under arrest?
When he was told to put his hands on his back, he immediately spun around away from Officer Boyce. And at that time, Officer Boyce approached him to attempt to get his arm behind his back, and then he was resisting and would not comply with the orders. So at that point, Officer Boyce had placed him on the ground to try to get control of him to put the cuffs on.
What do you mean he was resisting and not complying with the orders?
Just not doing what he was asked.
Okay. And you said he wound up on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about him going to the ground?
Just no compliance, and yeah, that was it. It was just non-compliant.
Let me back up just a little bit. Before he was placed under arrest, and when you told him to cut off his devices or to leave, did you ask him if he was recording?
No.
At any point, do you recall, did he ever deny recording?
No.
And was he actually placed under arrest?
Yes.
What happened after he was placed under arrest?
Actually was placed under arrest. There was an attempt made to get him up so they could leave out the building, and so he made no attempt to get up. So at that point in time, a wheelchair was brought in, and he was lifted and placed into the wheelchair. So after several attempts.
Who placed him in the wheelchair?
Initially, Officer Boyce tried to lift him up and put him in there, but ultimately, Officer Boyce lifted him up with his upper body, and I grabbed his lower extremities, and we picked him up and we got him in the wheelchair.
Okay. Just describe what's happening during that part of your encounter.
At that particular time, he was just not moving. There was no body movement. He was just limp, just not doing anything. There was some yelling, some verbal comments, and about he was
you remember what he was saying?
Some of the things he was saying is he was yelling for help, that he was being abducted and things of that nature.
And where is this taking place?
It was at the health department, right in the vicinity of the pharmacy window.
Do patients use that area of the lobby or wherever that is?
Yes.
Were you ever able to get him up into a wheelchair?
Eventually, yes, we did.
Do you recall about how long that took?
I don't know exactly. I would say probably 5 minutes.
At any point during that 5-minute time period to get him from the floor to the wheelchair, did you ask him to try to get himself up off the floor?
I believe what I said was something to the effect of sir, stop, so we can get you up. I don't remember my exact words, but.
And what did he do when you made that request?
Continue the same things.
Could you tell if he was injured in any way?
I couldn't tell if he was injured. To my knowledge, he wasn't.
Did you see anything that would have looked to you like any visible injuries?
No.
Do you recall if he complained about being injured at that point?
He repeatedly said, ow, but no, there was nothing visually that I could see that of any injuries.
And what happened after you got him up into the wheelchair?
Let's see, well, we got him in the wheelchair, but then the backpack had to be taken off. And then we got him back in the wheelchair. And at that time, we proceeded out, collected his things, and we proceeded out the door.
Who collected his things?
Can you repeat that?
Who collected his things?
Officer Boyce had the backpack. I believe I had the phone and the selfie stick. I believe.
And did you leave the health department?
Yes.
Where'd you go after you left the health department?
To the magistrate. We went to the courthouse, then to the magistrate's office.
Okay. Did you go?
Yes.
What happened after you left the health department heading into the courthouse? Mr. Nelson was just, he was screaming and yelling for help, saying he was being taken to an undisclosed area. And did you help take him into the magistrate's office?
I did. I was holding doors. Officer Roberson was actually pushing the wheelchair. I was just holding the doors.
Okay. What happened after you got into the magistrate's office?
Well, we got into the magistrate's office. He was taken back into the holding cell. And at that point, I was actually in the magistrate's office itself.
And did you have any further interaction with him after y'all got him into the magistrate's office?
No.
What'd you do after that?
After that, I went back up front because at that point there was nothing else for me to do or that I could do. So I went back up to the front entrance.
And are you aware if the health department has security footage that records in the building?
Yes.
And what kind of system is used to record that footage?
We use the Exact Vision video system.
Okay. And are you able to access that and pull videos and save videos from that system?
Yes.
And is that the system? Is that the system that was operating that day?
It is.
Was that system in good working order?
Yes, it was.
How are you aware of that?
Because the video was actually pulled for that particular day.
Okay. And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Health Department. Are you gonna show it? Yeah. I know.
I'm handing you what's been marked as exhibit number 1. If you could just take a look at that disc and tell me if you recognize it.
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
This is the video that was pulled from February from the Health Department lobby.
Is that a copy of the video that you provided the DA's office?
The video that was provided for the DA's office, yes.
Right. And do you see your initials anywhere on that video disc?
I do.
Where do you see your initials?
It is on the back under the state's exhibit sticker.
Have you had a chance to review that video before today?
I have.
And that video that's contained on the disc?
We'll stipulate to its authenticity, Judge.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I ask to admit State's Exhibit number 2 and publish as a court.
State's Exhibit number 1.
Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Any objection, Mr.
No,
Holt?
no objection.
So admitted.
Yeah. There's no sound. Yes.
Mr. DA, the screen, are you able to move that a little closer?
Yes, ma'am.
So that, okay, thank you.
And I can move, Judge, to see it. Whatever allows you to see it, I'm okay with.
Okay. If I could get it, and we'll wait for Mr. DA, as long as it's a little closer to me, we'll be fine.
And Your Honor, this one does not have any audio. It's just the camera feed from the roof or from the ceiling.
Okay. Mr. Sheriff, would you mind doing me a favor and cutting off those lights behind over there too, so I can see a little bit better? Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Is that good?
That's perfect. Thank you. Can you see Mr. Holt?
I can, thank you.
Are you having some technical difficulties?
It looks like it. Sorry about that. And Officer Daugherty, there's no audio, so could you just describe what we're seeing here?
Okay. What we're looking at right now is the health department lobby camera, which faces the lobby towards the main entrance doors. And that's Officer Roberson talking to Mr. Nelson right now.
Where's Mr. Nelson in the video?
He's seated to the right of Officer Roberson.
Back up.
It's back up.
Do you know how long Mr. Nelson and Officer Roberson are out in the lobby like this?
Not exactly. I'm not sure exactly.
Are you in the frame at anywhere at this point?
At this point, no. I was still outside. And at this time, Mr. Nelson's, he's doing something with his device. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I wasn't in there, but that's what we're watching on the screen. And Miss Nelson's getting up. Look like he's going right there at the pharmacy window. And he's walked away from the pharmacy window down towards Officer Robeson, but Officer Robeson's letting some lady out the door. He's back over at the pharmacy window now. But his back's turned to the camera, so I don't know what I can't tell what interaction he's really having. And Officer Robeson's over at the reception intake window speaking to one of the employees, and he's just walking back towards his desk. Miss Barbee's approaching at this time and starting her interaction with Mr. Nelson.
The female with blonde hair?
Correct. And at this time, Officer Boyce comes in the door. Miss Barbee's still speaking with Mr. Nelson. I've entered the building at this point. Okay, at this point, I'm speaking to Mr. Nelson about the situation and having to turn his recording device off or he'll have to leave because the health department has asked him to leave.
Do you recall if you were present at any point when Ms. Barbee asked him to leave or cut his devices off?
Yeah, when I initially walked up, she was still at that point finishing up talking to him. And Ms. Barbee's talking to Mr. Nelson again, repeating the request.
I object to what she's saying. It's
Sustain.
speculative.
Sustain.
Well, I'm gonna actually, can you stop that, Mr. DA? I'm actually gonna change my ruling on that. If he's present and he hears it, then he can actually repeat that. If he's hearing it and she was here and she testified, and she can be called back if necessary. So, overruled.
And at this point, Officer Boyce has told Mr. Nelson to put his hands behind his back. He did not comply, so Mr. Nelson's on the ground now, but Officer Boyce is still trying to get the cuffs on him. And his, Mr. Nelson's his phone and his stick that was on. I picked that up off the floor and set it on the table. And at this point, Officer Boyce is, he's got the cuffs on and he's trying to get him up. He had initially started searching, but stopped.
Are you leaving the building at this point?
I am back on the phone again. And Officer Boyce is talking to, said something to Officer Roberson, and as at this time he went and got the wheelchair.
Where is this that they're at?
The main lobby of the health department. And Officer Boyce is trying to pick Mr. Nelson up to get him in the wheelchair. Pretty much trying to do it himself because Mr. Nelson's not giving him any assistance. And Officer Boyce is trying to get his legs positioned back around to the front of the wheelchair because they were kind of up under the wheelchair.
Do you recall what you're doing here?
I believe it's when I was initially trying to get his feet to straighten his legs out. And this is a small wheelchair.
Where are you going?
I believe I left to go get a bigger wheelchair. We have larger wheelchairs at the courthouse. It was very difficult to get him in that little wheelchair. So Officer Boyce has removed a backpack off of Mr. Nelson. And he's putting the cuffs back on him. And at this point, I'm entering the lobby of the health department with the wheelchair from the courthouse. And so now it's where Officer Boyce has got Mr. Nelson by the upper body. I've got his legs. We get him in the wheelchair. Flip the footrest down. And preparing to move him to the magistrate's office.
You see the way that he's positioned in the wheelchair?
Mm-hmm.
Now, based on your recollection, is he still conscious? Is he communicating in that?
No, I was never aware that he was unconscious or conscious. When he was cuffed on the floor, he just laid there on the floor, but I was not aware of whether he was conscious or unconscious. So I don't know. And I don't know if Officer Boyce had spoke to him or anything, because I was in and out a couple different times.
You left to go back to the courthouse at this point?
Yes, at this point we have left the health department and going to the magistrate's office.
I'm gonna stop it there, Judge.
Any objection to that?
No, Judge.
And Captain Daugherty, do you remember how many times you asked or told Mr. Nelson to leave the building?
At least two. It may have been more, but at least twice.
And at any point, did he comply with that request?
No, he did not.
At any point, did he put away any of his recording equipment?
No.
Those are my questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Holt, any cross-examination?
Yes, Judge, thank you.
Thank you.
Is it pronounced
Daugherty.
Daugherty?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Officer Daugherty, who was your employer on February 4th, 2020?
Guilford County.
Guilford County?
Yes.
So you work for the county of Guilford?
I do.
All right. And it's Guilford County Security?
Security.
All right. And that's different from the sheriff?
That is correct.
So you don't work for the sheriff's department?
No, sir.
All right. You're still employed with the county?
Yes, sir.
So you're a county employee?
That is correct.
And you receive a paycheck monthly?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And where does your check come from? Who writes it?
It's from Guilford County.
The county of Guilford?
County of Guilford.
It's not a private security company?
No, sir.
Okay. And you weren't working for a private security company?
No, sir.
On February 4th, 2020?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you get state insurance?
State insurance?
Do you get any insurance through your employer?
I do.
Okay. And who's the insurer?
Well,
What's the company name? Is it Blue Cross?
No, I use, I don't get all of my insurance through the county. My insurance is split up. So, only thing I get insurance for through the county is for my glasses. That's all I use.
Okay. Now, Guilford County Security. Am I saying those in the right order? Guilford County Security?
You are.
All right. And have you ever been a police officer?
No.
Have you ever been a sheriff's deputy?
No, I have not.
Have you been to a police training academy?
No.
Have you been to a sheriff's training academy?
I have not.
All right. Are you authorized in your employment in Guilford County Security, you're not authorized to charge people with misdemeanors, are you?
Correct. I cannot.
You can't go to a magistrate and say, this person did X, Y, and Z, which are misdemeanors, I have probable cause to arrest, and then the magistrate takes out a warrant based on your sworn testimony, right?
No, I cannot. Not a sworn officer.
Okay. And when you encountered on February 4th, 2020, you testified that you told Mr. Nelson to stop recording or leave, right?
Correct.
But he didn't leave immediately after you said that, did he?
No, he did not.
But don't you recall that he agreed to leave?
Agreeing to leave and leaving are two different things.
My question is, do you recall that he agreed to leave?
Yeah, he agreed to leave, yes.
You recall that he said, okay, I'll leave?
He did say that.
Okay. But he followed that up with something, right?
Yes, he followed it up with a couple of different things. And
was one of them that he wanted to clarify? He wanted clarification? You recall him saying that to you?
To clarify, he was talking to Officer Boyce.
But you were standing
there? Yeah, I was
right?
standing there, yes.
So is it fair to say that Mr. Nelson, upon you saying turn the recording equipment off or leave, responded, okay, I'll leave, and then said, but I have some things I want to clarify?
What he was trying to clarify is when he was told he would be arrested for second-degree trespass. And that was Officer Boyce's place to answer that question.
But he asked for clarification,
yes.
Right?
He did ask, yes he did.
Okay. And when he did that, did you feel threatened by him in any way?
Me feel threatened? No.
Yeah. Was his demeanor threatening in any way?
Mm-mm.
Was he loud?
No.
He wasn't yelling or cussing or anything like that?
No, he was not.
You didn't physically take Mr. Nelson into custody, right?
No, I did not.
Officer Boyce did that.
That's correct.
But you were standing there when it happened?
Yes.
And Officer Boyce, as we saw in the video, reached out to grab Mr. Nelson's wrist, correct?
That's correct.
And you didn't hear Officer Boyce identify himself to Mr. Nelson before he did that, did you?
At that time, I don't believe so. But it wasn't at that time, no.
But you heard Mr. Nelson immediately after Mr. Boyce grabbed his wrist, you heard Mr. Nelson say, "Who are you? Who's doing this?" You heard him say that, right?
Yes.
He said that repeatedly. Who's doing this? Who are you? Right?
Yes.
Did you tell Mr. Nelson, "That's Officer Boyce. He's with me"?
No, I did not.
Mr. Boyce didn't say, "I'm Officer Boyce. I'm authorized to arrest you."
Immediately when it was asked, no, he did not, but he did identify himself later.
Later, after Mr. Nelson was handcuffed and on the ground, right?
I don't know, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that he did identify himself.
But you don't remember exactly when?
I don't, no, sir.
Okay. And you are aware Mr. Nelson is blind. He can't see.
I'm aware of some impairment, yes.
You say some impairment.
Because I don't know the degree of it.
You see that he carries a white cane, right?
I see he carries a white and red striped cane, yes.
Yeah, do you know it's against the law to carry a white cane in North Carolina if you're not blind?
I didn't know that.
Were you aware of Mr. Nelson's injuries on February 4th, 2020?
Prior to or as of that, on that particular day?
On that day, did you know what caused his blindness?
No.
Okay. Did you hear him saying that he was in pain when he was on the ground, when Mr. Boyce, Officer Boyce had him on the ground?
Only from the video.
Okay.
Initially, when he was taken to the ground, I was there, but then I went out because my director had called me, so.
Okay. You said he kept saying "ow," right? Mr. Nelson kept saying "ow." You testified to that.
I did.
Okay, and he said that many times, correct?
He did.
All right.
Why? I don't know, but he said it.
Do you think it might be because he was in pain?
Possibly.
Okay, that's when people usually say "ow," right?
Normally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're fake, sometimes people fake though, don't they?
Sometimes they do.
Do you think Mr. Nelson was faking?
Not a doctor, not qualified to make that assessment.
You said you didn't know if he was conscious or unconscious.
Yeah, because he was laying there, but he's got glasses on, so I couldn't see if there was eye movement or anything, so I don't know. I just know that he was laying on the ground.
All right. Would you have assisted him if he was unconscious?
As much as I could have, yes.
Yeah, what do you think you would have done?
Probably just would have rolled him over. Well, he was already on his side, so.
If he was unconscious?
Yeah, if he was unconscious, I would have rolled him over on his back.
You wouldn't have called EMS?
Well, I mean, of course we would have called EMS, but I'm just saying my initial action right there would have been, roll him on his back. But he was on his side, so. Prior to calling EMS, we're at the health department. We got nurses 30 feet down the hallway, so I probably would actually, if I thought he was unconscious, I would have had them go get a nurse.
Are you in charge of security at the courthouse as well?
Yes.
Okay. And the health department is not the same place as the courthouse, right?
That's correct.
They're two separate buildings.
That's correct.
All right. And a different set of people work in each one.
That's correct.
And they're not managed by the same person, are they?
No, sir.
And you have different security people at the county courthouse and the health department, right?
Correct.
And do you have different people you report to? Who do you report to, by the way?
My director and assistant director are in Greensboro.
And I'm sorry, I missed the first thing you said.
My director and my supervisor are in Greensboro.
And who do they work for?
They work for Guilford County.
Who are they?
Who are they?
Yes. What are their names?
Jeff Fowler and Frank Jabilio.
And what are their jobs at the county?
At the time, Jeff Fowler was the director of the security department, and Major Jabilio is the assistant director.
Okay. So they oversee all the security, like you, of county courthouse and health department.
And the other county buildings, yes.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Do you know if the security camera footage we saw is open to public record?
I do believe it is through no request, yes.
So someone can request it from the county?
Mm-hmm.
And who would they go to do that? You?
It would be the director. No, not me. That's the director.
A county employee?
The director of the security department is who is a county employee, yes.
Okay. Does Guilford County Security, this may be a weird question, I apologize. Does Guilford County Security do any security at any places that aren't part of Guilford County government?
No.
Okay. All right, no further questions, Judge.
All right, thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Diaz?
Just a couple questions. Captain Daugherty, in your capacity, are you authorized to tell people to leave from the courthouse?
Yes,
Are you authorized to tell people to leave from the health department?
I am.
I don't have any other questions.
Any recross?
No recross, thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Captain. You can step down, sir.
Thank you.
Any opposition to Captain being allowed to leave or remain? Anyone have a
No, ma'am.
objection? So, Captain Daugherty, you can leave or you can stay. Your choice, sir. Thank you.
And Your Honor, Officer Boyce will be the next witness.
You know, before we do that, can we take about a 5-minute recess?
Yes, ma'am.
Are y'all okay with that?
Yes.
Please. Yeah. Well, do you need a little bit longer, sir?
I just need his restroom, ma'am.
Okay, so let's do 10 minutes. Let's say 10 minutes, Mr. Sheriff.
That's on court stands recess, 10 minutes.
You got that memorized?
Yeah.
No? All right, thank you. All right, Mr. DA?
Next witness is going to be Deputy Boyce.
All right. If you'll come around, sir, Mr. Sheriff will direct you.
Watch your step back. Right hand on the Bible, raise your right hand.
You swear that the evidence that you should give the court in this case now being heard shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, Mr. DA?
Good afternoon, Deputy Boyce.
Good afternoon, sir.
Please introduce yourself to the court.
My name is Deputy Alphonso Boyce,
And where are you currently employed?
Randolph County Sheriff's Department.
How long have you been employed with the Randolph County Sheriff's Department?
Going on 5 months now.
Before you were employed with Randolph County Sheriff's Office, where were you employed?
I was employed with North State Company Police.
How long were you employed there?
4 years.
And prior to that, what was your employment?
Prior to that, I was in the military.
How long have you been employed in the state of North Carolina as a sworn law enforcement officer?
Since 2013.
And that was with North State Police Company?
No, that was with Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte.
Okay. And if you could just describe the duties and responsibilities you held as a member of the North State Company Police.
We were there to protect the clients, employees, property, enforce North Carolina laws and general statutes.
And where were you assigned?
I was assigned to Guilford County High Point.
And how long did you work there?
I was there from July 2019.
Okay. And in that position, that's a sworn law enforcement position?
Yes, sir.
Are you authorized to make arrests?
Yes, sir.
And what area is covered by the High Point assignment?
The areas covered be Guilford County Courthouse, Guilford County Public Health Center, their parking lots, the Guilford County DSS building, which is on Russell Street.
Okay. And is that in Guilford County?
Yes, sir.
And were you employed in that capacity on February 4th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Were you in uniform and on duty that day?
Yes, sir.
And where were you working?
I was working at the Guilford County Courthouse.
And did you come into contact with an individual who later came to be known to you as Michael Nelson?
Yes, sir.
How'd you come into contact, Mr. Nelson?
I came into contact 2 times prior and on that day because we were called over there for assistance because he refused to stop recording in the public health lobby.
So you were familiar with him before that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How had you come into contact with him previously?
First 2 times he tried to enter the courthouse, but he was turned away due to his electronic devices.
And were you present when he was turned away those times?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what he had in his possession those times that he was turned away?
An iPhone on a selfie stick, GoPro, some Bluetooth headphones, his cane, a backpack, and that was it. That was visible.
Okay. And on February 4th, 2020, were you working at the health department?
No, I was working at the courthouse.
Okay. What'd you do after you were made aware that he was at the health department?
I was placed outside standby with Captain Daugherty as we got further instructions of what was going on inside the lobby of the health department.
Okay. Had you seen him go into the health department earlier that day?
Yes, just before we got called, I watched him from the courthouse go inside the Guilford County Health Department.
How'd you know it was him?
He had a roll guard vest on, his backpack, his walking stick. It's kind of distinctive from what I've seen before.
Okay. So it was the same person you remember from before?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you do when you saw him go in the health department?
I notified Captain Daugherty immediately that he was over there.
And at that point, were you aware that that he was recording video footage?
Yes.
How are you aware of that?
We first pulled up YouTube on his YouTube channel, Blind Justice, and saw the live stream of him sitting inside the public health building at time with comments coming in from people all over. So it was recording at the same time.
Your Honor, I object to that evidence. It's not for the court. It's a video that isn't here. It's something on YouTube. It should be in front of the court in order for it to be admitted or considered.
Overall, I'm just using it to, as far as evidence to establish why he did what he did, as far as being asked how he knew. It was being recorded live stream.
Did you go over to the health department?
Yes, after I was told by Captain Daugherty to come with him so we could head on over there.
Okay. And what did you do when you got to the health department?
Like I said, we waited on further instructions, then eventually we went inside and made contact with Mr. Paul.
And where was he at? Do you remember?
He was still inside the lobby of the public health building.
What happened when you went inside?
He was then talking to the director over there, Miss Barbee at the time. She was explaining to him that he needed to cut off his recording devices. As she kept going over, I went around her, stood to the side to listen to the rest of the conversation. And Captain Daugherty came in and reiterated the same thing. Hey, you need to turn off your recording devices or you need to leave. Then I reiterated that he needed to leave the building because I wasn't concerned about his devices at the time. I was just concerned about him now leaving because now he's trespassing because he refused to leave on numerous occasions that he was given.
Okay. After any of those requests, did you see him put any equipment away?
No, sir.
At any point did he agree to leave?
He agreed to leave.
What happened when he agreed to leave?
He agreed to leave, but then he wanted clarification on what he was going to be charged with if he didn't leave, and he gave his own explanation what the second-degree trespassing was.
At any point did you see him take any action that indicated that he was going to leave?
No, he was just passively resisting by staying there, questioning and asking and explaining why he had to leave or what he's going to be charged with, was he going to be attacked.
And at any point did you explain to Mr. Nelson that you were going to place him under arrest for second-degree trespass?
Yes, I did.
When was that?
That was the time I pulled the cuffs on, told him he had 5 seconds to leave the building or else he would be arrested for second-degree trespassing.
And what happened after you told him that?
He then tried to recite what the second-degree trespass was, and I told him, well, it's whatever it is you wanted to be, but are you going to leave? Yes, I'm going to leave, and he continued to start another conversation. At that time, I told him, go ahead, turn around, put his hands behind his back.
And at that point, were you placing him under arrest or attempting to place him under arrest for second-degree trespass?
I was placing him under arrest for second-degree trespassing.
Okay. And again, why were you placing him under arrest for second-degree trespass?
Because he refused to leave after being told by the director and the captain over security to leave the building, and myself.
And what happened when you placed him under arrest?
Well, as I got the one cuff on his left hand, he decided to flop down to the ground. So I went down on both knees to try to get this other hand behind his back, which was just actively not giving it to me and still yelling, who is this, who is this? I then eventually told him I was Boyce from North State. He kept repeating it, but still wouldn't give me his hand.
Did you get him restrained in handcuffs?
Eventually I did.
Okay. What happened when you got him handcuffed?
He just went dead weight, refused to cooperate with me by rolling over, just try to lay on his stomach, or try to get him to his side to get him up to walk him out the building, but he just went limp and just laid there.
Was he saying anything? Was he communicating during this part of your encounter?
At that point, then he started saying he had injuries, he has prior injuries, I'm hurting him, yelled ouch a bunch of times, and then asked why I'm doing this to him. And he was yelling to the crowd, somebody help me, I'm being assaulted by men that I don't know.
At any point, did he tell you what, if any, injuries he had?
No, he did not.
At At any point, did he ask for any medical assistance in the health department?
No, he did not.
And just describe how you got him off the floor.
Had to use everything I had to try to get him into the first wheelchair, which he won't cooperate. He just had his legs locked. So as you got his upper torso in, he just had his legs locked underneath the wheelchair, so it looked like we were bending him like a pretzel. In actuality, he just had his legs locked. When that didn't work, told Captain to get a bigger wheelchair, which we could just kind of sit him in with his stuff and wheel him over, put him in, try to get his legs on there. He'll try to slide him off the little stand. Finally got him in. As we're wheeling him out, every time we try to go through a door, he'll try to slide his head to the left or to the right, trying to hit into a door, stick his foot out as we're going through any of the entrances to try to hit something. And pretty much was yelling, he's being kidnapped, he doesn't know where he's going, somebody help him the whole way till we made it to the mattress office.
What happened when you got to the magistrate's office?
When we got to the magistrate's office, by the time we got to the second door to the back, he just completely stopped talking and just went completely numb, limp. Wouldn't say nothing, wouldn't answer any of my questions as who, what's your name? Even when the magistrate came out to ask him, hey sir, what's your name? He wouldn't say nothing. He said nothing the whole time after we got back to the magistrate's office.
And at any point, how long were you with him in the magistrate's office?
About 45 minutes, 50 minutes back there.
At any point, did he request any medical attention?
No, sir.
Did he complain to any courthouse staff in the magistrate's office that he had been injured during the episode over at the health department?
No, sir.
Yeah. When you're working for the North State Company Police at the courthouse, how many of you guys normally work at a time?
It'll just be one officer up here at the courthouse and for the public health building, and another one typically down at the DSS building on Russell Street.
Okay. So there are two of you?
In the general facility, yes.
And do you remember about how long this episode with Mr. Nelson took that day, or how much time you spent?
It might have started approximately about 4:30ish in the afternoon. It was about close of business, and I didn't get to my vehicle to go home until a little bit after 7.
After you placed him under arrest, what'd you do with his property?
All his property was brought over to the magistrate's office, which we have to bag and identify all their property, which is an itemized list attached to my report of everything he brought that day, so they can have to log into their their property room over at the jail.
And did you make that inventory?
Yes, I did.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Anthony, what I've marked as State's Exhibit number 4.
4 or 2? Are we skipping 2 and 3?
Yes.
4.
And if you could just take a look at that, tell me if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
I recognize this to be the property sheet that was done for Michael Nelson.
What date was that done?
That was done on February the 4th, 2020.
Is this something that you do every time you make an arrest?
Yes, sir.
You do it the same way?
Yes, sir.
Is that the original inventory list that you made that day?
Yes, sir. This is the officer's copy. The original, which would be a white sheet, will go to the jail.
Okay. That's the copy that you kept?
Yes, sir.
And is that copy the same or substantially similar as it was when you filled it out on February 4th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I ask to admit State's Exhibit 4.
No objections.
Published into the court.
Thank you, so admitted.
And-
Mr. DA, if you would like to retrieve
Yes, ma'am.
item and
Sorry.
present it to the court.
Well, before I do that, Officer Boyce, what did you collect and list on your inventory there?
What was collected was a keyboard, phone charger, charging cord, portable batteries, earplugs, phone telescope, ace bandage, metal rods, power bank, which would be one of the portable batteries, so excessive cords, headphones, safety vest, walking cane, lock, coat, cell phone, no cracks, 2 cell phones, remote, strap, SIM card, GoPro, earphones, water bottle, hat, and a poncho.
May I approach?
Yes.
And Officer Boyce, were you wearing a body-worn camera that day?
Yes, sir.
And was that one that was issued to you?
No, sir.
Was that one that you bought?
Yes, sir.
What kind of camera system were you wearing?
It was a Bovlo, B-O-B-L-O-V, off Amazon.
Why did you buy it?
Our police department didn't have any policies about it, and they said if you want to have one for your own personal use while you're at work, that will be at your own expense. So I decided to invest in it just in case if anything happened. I had my version just as they did theirs.
Okay. And was that camera that you were using, was that in good working order that day?
Yes, sir.
Did it make a video recording of your interaction with Mr. Nelson?
Yes, sir.
And have you provided a copy of that video to the state?
Yes, sir.
Have you viewed it before you testified?
Yes, sir.
And is the video that you, or the copy that you provided the state, is that the same or substantially similar to what you saved off that camera?
Yes, sir.
Has it been altered or manipulated in any way?
No, sir.
You've reviewed it before you testified today?
Yes, sir.
And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes. Mr. Holt, have you viewed this video?
I have seen it, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
And Officer Boyce, this is State's Exhibit 2. Leave for a video disc. Do you recognize your initials?
Yes, sir.
And when did you initial the back of that?
On August 23rd, 2021.
And Your Honor, asked to that State's Exhibit 2 evidence.
Any objection? He asked that the video states Exhibit 2 from Officer Boyce be admitted.
No objection, Judge. I just have a request on behalf of my client. It's going to be played. My client heard it earlier. It's pretty loud, and my client is going through quite a bit, and he was very upsetting to him. He's asking if he could maybe step outside while it's being played for the court. I told him I would ask the court if that was okay.
That's fine, if he would like to step outside, if he's choosing to step outside during the play. Is that correct, Mr. Nelson?
Yes, ma'am. It's very traumatizing. I don't want to listen to it and replay it again.
Okay, then you're more than welcome to step outside, and Mr. Holt can retrieve you once it's completed.
Yes.
All right.
You want your drink?
Yeah.
I'm going to carry his drink.
That's fine.
Yeah, if you don't mind. This happens each time I plug this HDMI cable up in here.
Well, while we're waiting to get some technical assistance, Mr. Capps, how long is this video approximately?
This one's about 20 minutes.
Okay. So the question becomes, do you have any other witnesses that will be testifying? Because right now it's almost 4:35.
This will be it for me.
All
As soon
right.
as this video's through, then that's it for the day.
And then Mr. Holt, will your client be testifying?
No, Judge.
No, so then it would just be closing arguments?
Yes.
Okay. And how long do you anticipate your closing arguments lasting?
I won't do a long closing. I think I'll do a pretty normal district court closing.
Same.
Okay. Because clearly, I want you both to feel that you've had a right to obviously zealously advocate on behalf of your client, Mr. Holt, and the state, Mr. Capps. But at the same time, I need to take into account personnel who get off work at 5 o'clock. But I can certainly go over past a little past 5, so long as I'm not interfering. Okay, so good.
I mean, my cross will be comparable to my cross of,
So we could resume at 2 o'clock tomorrow as well. That's another option. Watch the video.
That's up to the, I mean, I'm fine with whatever, Your Honor, but the state doesn't need to be heard on that.
Because I'm thinking in terms of, it's what, about 20 minutes of a cross-examination, maybe? And then at least 5 to 10 minutes for another 20, 40, and then a 20-minute? Yeah. Could you step outside and ask your client if he is available to return tomorrow to conclude this hearing at 2 o'clock in this courtroom? Can you do that to me then? I'm in here for child support, but I'll finish up before 2. I'll make them stop at 1, actually, because I would need to eat lunch.
I don't know if I can be here at 2.
Why not?
Well,
If it's a case in progress.
yeah. Okay, well, yeah, I'll just have to reschedule a bunch of stuff, but I can do it.
Even if we say just an hour.
Right. Okay, let me check.
That's okay.
He lives in another state, he might have tickets and stuff, but I'll check.
What state does he live in, by the way, Mr. Holt?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know what state your client lives in?
Nope, I don't.
Okay. How did he get here today?
Train.
Okay. All
His
right.
wife, or did they rent?
Because I asked several times to get that information, and it was clear, it felt as if, and there may be a reason, and I don't know, as far as why he does not wish to divulge his address, but it came across, I don't know, because I've asked for it several times, because I was trying to work with everyone as far as getting a hearing, right? Yeah, that's why I obviously will need to know his residence.
Well, Your Honor, I can explain his reasoning, I believe, why he won't give it to me.
Okay.
Because he knows if I had it, I would give it to the court. And I think he figured that out on his own. And he has moved to a new town, and he has a history of doing activism and of making law enforcement angry. And he wants to live peacefully in the town where he lives now, and doesn't want law enforcement there notified as to who he is. That's what his fear is.
And he's concerned that someone from this courtroom would notify law enforcement?
He's concerned that law enforcement here would notify law enforcement where he is.
Okay. Well, it may not even be an issue, but at some point, I mean, that's why or ask him, let him know that it appears that we will need to resume tomorrow from at least 2 to 3.
Okay.
Thank you. Drink my coffee now. I need some caffeine. Means we'll need to find somebody to do first appearances tomorrow. We'll get that done.
I know we don't have an afternoon session in that evening tomorrow, so whoever's doing juvenile potentially do.
I'm sorry?
Whoever judge is doing juvenile tomorrow could potentially do first appearances. We don't have an afternoon session.
And, I'm sorry, Lane, what is that? What court?
Juvenile.
Oh, juvenile.
Yeah. We don't have afternoon session tomorrow, so potentially whoever, I don't remember who the judge is. Judge Smith tomorrow.
Well, thank you for telling me. So let's see, who is set for tomorrow? What is this, 23rd? Did somebody say Judge Smith?
He's gonna be in juvenile.
Yep, that's who we would need to ask.
That's fine, Judge. And I turned my phone on for a moment out there, and I can easily move an appointment I have at 2, not a problem at all. So
Sure.
if he can be here, I can be here at 2.
Perfect. That'd be perfect. So then what we'll do is we'll watch the video and then we'll stop at that, well, you know what? Can you be here tomorrow at 2 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Since you are on the scene. so
And
I
then
need to
watching the
confirm.
video.
Yes. And Mr. Sheriff, can you cut those lights off over there for me, sir? Can you, there we go, thank you.
And that's where we talk about some federal shit.
Can you turn it up just a little bit more, or is that as loud as it'll go?
No, and I'm starting it from the beginning, so.
It's coming out now. Yeah. I know we're dealing with it. We're in a call back to see what.
Can you turn it up some more, Mr. Sheriff, Mr. DA?
Yes, these people. This fucking clown. You gotta get the files to the medical personnel, not to the public. Can you come to the name of the gentleman, grab my property back? Can you tell me the name?
I'm not going to, but you feel free to ask him.
Oh, I did, I asked him, he refused to identify himself after violating my property.
Okay. Excuse me.
Okay, I need you to stop recording. You need to be. Here we are. Here we are.
Captain Daugherty, you've been asked and recorded the license off.
Captain Daugherty, where we're going.
Guilford County Security, and okay? So I need you to turn the device off, stop recording. Or you're gonna have to.
This gentleman, assaulted me, grabbed my property, got my permission.
Okay, we'll take care of that later. But I need you to
How do I file a complaint or criminal report?
you probably need to look at it.
Okay. Are you Mr. President?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Can you identify for me? Because I need a name to go for complaint or the criminal
You can
complaint.
talk to me,
Somebody read me the gentleman's name?
You need to turn the recording device off.
I use these as assistance
I
devices.
understand sensitive devices, but if you are recording, if you don't turn your devices off, your recording device, not your assistive
These are
device.
assistance devices, right?
If you don't turn the recording
Do you know
device off,
is there an media coordinator, Ms. Leslie?
you
We
need
have
to
an
leave.
APA coordinator not in this building, but you have been told to turn it off.
Ask him to leave.
Okay, you need to leave.
This is.
If you are not going to stop recording, you need to leave the building. Okay, I'll ask you to leave.
Well, there's a crime committed, and I need to
Okay.
identify the person that violated.
If you
All right, sir,
if
you've been asked to leave.
the building,
You're gonna be arrested for secondary trespassing right now.
okay.
So, are you gonna leave? Yes, and I'm gonna ask you to leave, and you're not leaving the county building.
So that, on secondary trespass.
Okay,
if you're on the
are you gonna
property-
leave?
I'm trying to clarify what's going on. So secondary trespass is if you're on the property of another and you're without permission or you were asked to leave, supposedly you refused. Is that right? Am I understanding that right?
Whatever it is you want to be.
Well, I just want to understand what you're threatening. Like,
I'm not threatening you. Are you gonna leave, sir?
Well, I'm trying to clarify.
Are you gonna leave, yes or no?
Absolutely, yes, I will absolutely.
Let's go.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Because now
what's
people
going
cuffs on you if you don't.
Wait a minute, so you already gonna use violence against me? I'm trying to clarify. Like, taking away my freedom is absolutely violent.
Sir, are you gonna leave right now or not?
Yes, I'm trying to clarify.
Let's go.
What do you mean by secondary trespass?
You have 5 seconds up until you turn around with 10 behind your back, and then you can go to jail.
Property of another, that means it.
I know it's not.
What are you doing? Whoa, what are you doing? Who are you? Stop, who are you? Stop, who are you? Stop, who are you? Stop. Who are you? I don't know who you are. Stop. This is assault, battery. Stop.
Yes, sir.
Help. Help. Somebody help me. Stop.
You've been asked to leave, you didn't leave.
Ow, you're hurting me. Stop. Why are you doing this? Ah! Down on the ground. What are you doing? Down on the ground. Stop. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Roll over now. Who are you? Roll over. Who are you? Who are you? I don't know who you are. Roll over. Ah! Ah! Bring it on.
Turn around, sir.
Who are you?
Roll over.
Who are you?
This is Officer Boyce, calling police officer, North State. Now roll over.
Why would you say that? Why are you hurting me, man? Why are you hurting me? Boyce, North State, what's your son? You say Boyce?
Roll over to your side.
You say Boyce?
Roll over to your side. Roll over to your side.
Did you say Boyce? With North State?
Roll over to your side.
Do you hurt me, man?
Sir,
I got all kinds of injuries, dude.
now you need to step
Please
up.
stop.
Let's go.
Please stop.
Let's go, sir.
Please stop.
Sir, let's go.
Please stop.
You're already about 2 charges in. Let's go.
Please stop.
Sir, you get them on your own, or I can carry you over. Let's go.
I'm pretty sure you hurt me. You injured me. So please stop.
Roll over.
Is there a disability coordinator, please? Is somebody have a disability coordinator?
Okay, now we're playing this game now.
Is somebody have a disability
Got a wheelchair
coordinator?
here? They got a wheelchair? How many got a wheelchair?
Can you get a disability coordinator, please? Somebody help! This man's attacking me! Somebody help me! Do you have a disability coordinator? Somebody? Anybody? Please help!
Sorry, sir. I'm gonna roll you over to your side.
It's all getting better. Please help me. Please help. Help. Help me. Help me. Ah!
Sorry.
Ah! Ah! Please stop. Ah! Please help. Ow!
Sorry.
Please somebody get this belly. This belly coordinator.
Get in the chair.
Somebody help me. Please stop. I've got one moving breeze. Please stop. Please help. Somebody. Help me. Please get the belly coordinator, please.
So get in the chair.
Somebody help.
Grab his arms, I'll get his leg.
Help me.
All right.
Somebody help.
1, 2, 3.
Sit in the chair. Help. I can't breathe. Put it on my neck. Help me. Ow.
Okay, sir.
Somebody help.
You need to
Somebody
stand
help.
up and check.
Help me. Help me, please.
Take the bag off.
Somebody help.
Take the bag off. Let me go get the big wheel, sir.
Please. Somebody help me.
All right, she goes roll chair.
Somebody help. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Stop. Please stop.
Alright, sir.
Stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop hitting me. Please stop. Please. Somebody get me the security coordinator. Help. I'm being attacked. Please help. 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 Help me. Someone please help me. Somebody help.
Roll over, sir.
Help. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Stop. Please stop. Please stop.
Sit up, sir.
Please help. Ow, ow. Please help. Ow, you're hurting me. You're hurting me. Why are you doing this? Please help me. Somebody help. Ow. Help. Please help. Please help. Ow. Ow. Anybody hear me? Please help me. These men are hurting me. Please. Please help. Ow. Ow. Stop. Please help me. Somebody help. Please. Somebody help me. Help. I'm being attacked. Somebody help. Please don't turn off my cameras. Help me. Help.
That hand's gonna both me probably in safety.
Help me. Can you get a disability coordinator, please? Do you have one of your company, Boyce? Disability coordinator.
Roll over, mister.
Please help me. Please stop taking my assistive devices. Help. Somebody help. Somebody help, please. Help me. You can hear me. You're not helping. Why? These men are attacking me. You have a supervisor. Boyce, please get a supervisor here. Boyce, you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm the supervisor.
Please get me a supervisor.
Mr. Sir, you're not looking cause. Help! You here? Roll over to your side. Stop me! One way or another, you go to jail today. Please. I'm being attacked. Somebody help, please. Okay. You're a disability coordinator. Anybody? All right. Leslie. All right, sir. You can go in the wheelchair. Can't walk on your own power. Please don't hurt me, sir. Please don't hurt me. Sit up, sir. Please don't hurt me, sir. Please stop. Sir. Please stop. Please stop, please. Stop it. Ow. Why are you hurting me? Why are you doing this? Ow, stop. I've got the injuries. Stop. Somebody help. Need some burn toward there. Help. Help. Somebody help me. Help me. You can see this, please record it. Help, I'm being attacked by people around the road. Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help! Someone help! Help me! Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help! Somebody help! Help! Thank you for attacking me! Help me kidnap me! Help! Help! Somebody help! Please help! Anybody! Cap. Help! He's gotta lock these doors. He's gotta lock these doors.
Help me!
This shit's still recorded.
Help! Hello! Help! I'm being kidnapped! Help me!
He's still recording. I can't turn that thing off.
Help me! Help me! He's not kidnapping me! Help!
You got him?
Help! Help me! Help! Somebody help! Help! We need to get back! Help! Somebody help me!
Joe, go ahead.
You good?
Somebody help! Hello, anybody? Help! I'm being kidnapped! Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? Hello? Where are you taking me? Hello? Daddy, where are you taking me? Help! You gotta help me. Please help.
Door.
Please help. Disability coordinator.
Watch his head.
Disability coordinator. Couple eyes on that. Ow.
Hi, Miss Rosen, appreciate you.
What happens after this?
I go see a magistrate and discuss his charges. Then the phone comes bombarded with all his supporters
Sir, I'm gonna stop it here, Your Honor.
Any objection to that, Mr. Holt?
No objection.
All right, thank you. All right, while he's doing that, you want to go ahead and get your client, come back in, and you can step down, sir.
I did have a couple more questions, or do you just
We'll
wanna do
wait
that
till
tomorrow?
tomorrow.
All right.
Right, we'll resume with your direct. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes until 5 o'clock. So we just finished watching State Exhibit number 2, the video disc representing body cam worn by Deputy Boyce on February 4th of 2020. All right, so we will recess at this time. Prior to doing that, I want to make note, we will resume tomorrow at 2 o'clock, back in this courtroom, which is 3B. All right, checking with everyone, that works with everyone's schedules. All right, that being said, is there anything we need to address prior to us recessing for the day?
Not with the state, Your Honor.
Nothing from the defense.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Sheriff, we'll be in recess until, I'll be back at 9 here for a child support, but this case will resume at 2.
If on the court stands recess till 2 p.m. tomorrow, I'll send statements on court.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Sheriff, just
De Oppresso Liber.